so Marky, or Kid Invincible, has a story that begins with Anissa, a Viltrumite assigned to Earth for the purpose of procreation to help rebuild the Viltrumite population. Eventually, it is revealed that Omni-Man is the son of the former Emperor Argal, making Invincible his grandson. With this in mind, Anissa formulates a plan. She begins by spying on Invincible. After anonymously aiding the Guardians of the Globe in their battle against Dr. Seismic, she flies through the rampaging monster. Mark, shocked by this act, flies up to investigate and confronts her in the sky. She reveals that she was the one who killed the creature. Mark, suspicious, questions her motives and points out that he saw her watching both him and his father. She dismisses this, stating she was only observing him, not Nolan. She then unexpectedly kisses him, leaving Mark confused and disturbed before she quickly flies off, hoping to see him again. Later, after Mark returns from an alternate dimension where Robot had imprisoned him, Anissa seeks him out for the first time in 6 months. She finds him and asks where he has been. Before he can answer fully, she cuts him off and starts explaining the Viltrumite mission to mate with compatible species. She admits she has been falling short of her duty. Mark, uninterested, attempts to leave, still focused on his search for Robot, but Anissa blocks his way. She begins to explain her reluctance to mate with humans, then turns to Mark as a compromise due to his Viltrumite heritage. She attempts to seduce him again, but Mark continues to resist. Frustrated by his defiance, she headbutts him. Realizing seduction isn't working, Anissa decides to forcibly carry out the mission. Mark continues to plead with her to stop, but she charges him again. He tries to defend himself without seriously hurting her, hoping she would relent, but she doesn't. Instead, she begins to enjoy the fight. Anissa catches one of Mark's punches and notes that he's stronger than she expected. She overpowers him, and the two crash onto a remote farm. Pinning him down, she restrains his arms and demands he stop resisting. Mark reiterates his refusal, but she escalates the assault, pressing her elbow to his neck while Mark desperately struggles. She rips off their costumes and assaults him, all while Mark watches in horror. Traumatized and broken, Mark lies there crying. Anissa cruelly tells him to man up, implying that it may take multiple attempts for her to become pregnant. She then flies off, leaving Mark to deal with the emotional fallout alone. Though deeply traumatized, Mark never truly considered what the long-term consequences of that moment would be. Eventually, it turns out that Anissa did conceive and chose not to tell anyone who the father of her child was. A few months after Mark left Earth, she gave birth to his son, Marky. While Mark was off-world, Anissa married a human named Scott, and Marky believed Scott to be his real father. Marky often looked after his younger sister and eagerly waited for his mother to return from her missions. But when Anissa left to battle Grand Regent Thrag and his army of hybrid Viltrumites, tragedy struck. Marky and his sister were kidnapped by Robot. Later, when the Viltrumite children were rescued, Marky learned that his mother had died. After returning home with Scott, Marky broke down emotionally. He couldn't comprehend what had happened. He destroyed his toys and locked himself in his room. Scott, grieving as well, tried to comfort him. In the midst of this emotional storm, Marky's Viltrumite powers finally awakened. Overwhelmed, he unintentionally flew out of the house and ended up rampaging through the city without control. Police tried to subdue Marky, but his powers rendered their bullets useless. At that moment, Invincible and Adam Eve arrived. Eve shielded the police with a barrier, while Mark flew up and grabbed Marky, taking him into the upper atmosphere. Marky, not knowing who he was, resisted and demanded to be let go. Trying to calm him, Mark revealed the truth, that he was Marky's biological father. Marky, overwhelmed and shocked, lost consciousness. Eve caught him and brought him to the Pentagon. When he awoke, Scott came to visit. Feeling guilty, Scott admitted he regretted not telling Marky about his true heritage earlier. Eve reassured him that Marky would be safe at the Pentagon until he learned to control his powers. Later, when Invincible prepared to leave Earth with the Viltrumites, he visited Marky to tell him the history of the Viltrumite Empire. He explained that far from Earth, in deep space, there existed a planet called Viltrum. The Viltrumites were once a savage and ruthless race that believed strength was the only virtue. They called their own people wiping out the weak in pursuit of evolutionary perfection. Once unified, the surviving elite formed the Viltrum Empire, which expanded across the galaxy for nearly a millennium. But their reign came to a halt when enemies developed the Scourge virus, a bioweapon fatal to Viltrumites. The virus decimated their numbers for decades, either killing them outright or weakening the survivors. The death toll was so catastrophic that Viltrumite corpses formed a planetary ring around their homeworld. In the end, more than 99% of the Viltrumite population perished. Following this devastation, Emperor Argal was killed, and Thrag rose as the new leader. Agents were sent to countless planets to assess genetic compatibility. It was during this effort that Nolan was sent to Earth, which ultimately led to the birth of Invincible. Mark told Marky, "I was just like you. I didn't know I was a Viltrumite until my father explained it to me. Thankfully, he told me before my powers kicked in. Once they did, I tried to use them for good as Invincible. My father and I clashed. He wanted to conquer Earth for the Empire, but he eventually saw my side. Together with allies, we defeated defeated Thrag. My father became emperor and ruled during a time of peace. He even spared Thrag's life, though that kindness led to his own death. I avenged him and now lead the Viltrumites in his place, hoping to show the universe that we can be a force for good." Mark apologized for not being present in Marky's life, explaining that his relationship with Anissa had been complicated, but he promised to return and visit Marky whenever possible. Marky, reeling from all he had learned, now understood he was part alien. Before leaving Earth with the Viltrumites, Mark visited Scott one last time and asked Marky to look after his sister and Scott and to continue developing his powers. A year or two later, Debbie took Marky to Art's shop as a surprise. Initially bored, Marky perked up when Art revealed he designed costumes for both Invincible and Omni-Man. Excited by the idea of getting his own superhero suit, Marky suited up and tested his new costume. While flying, he spotted Monster Girl and another hero battling a giant monster. He flew in to help despite their warnings. Marky landed some solid hits, and the battle ended when Darkwing emerged from the monster. Curious, Marky asked who Darkwing was. Monster Girl explained that Darkwing was a hero believed to have died during the Invincible invasion. Marky mentioned he had read about that war, the one where countless variants of his father invaded Earth from alternate dimensions. Everyone, including Monster Girl, was stunned to learn Marky was Invincible's son. When asked his superhero name, Marky said he went by Kid Invincible. That night, Marky returned home and completed his tasks quickly. He visited Omni-Man's grave and spoke out about his life and his choice to adopt the name Kid Invincible. He said that while his father chose the name Invincible because it was what he felt he was, Marky chose it because it's what he needs to be if he ever hopes to live up to the legacy left behind. Terra got to live among the Viltrumites while Marky remained on Earth, convinced that Mark preferred Terra, his daughter with Eve, over him. These feelings simmered for decades until one day, Marky confronted his father. He flew to the new Viltrumite base and attacked Mark. The two fought fiercely until they collapsed amidst the rubble. Marky finally opened up about everything, the years of emotional weight, his anger, and how he felt like a child born of hate, while Terra was born of love. Mark explained that he left Marky on Earth not out of neglect, but so that he could live a grounded life as Mark once had. He expressed his pride in everything Marky had accomplished. Overwhelmed, Marky broke down, admitting he had lost control and nearly killed his own father. He asked how he could ever be forgiven. Mark replied that they have a nearly unlimited amount of time ahead of them, enough time to heal and make things right. We don't see what Marky does after that moment because soon after that the story finishes, leaving us to wonder. Perhaps he finally realized that his father did care for him all along and that he had only misunderstood. Maybe he returned to Earth to continue his journey. One thing's for sure, if his story ever continues in future comics, there's no doubt that Marky has the potential to surpass Invincible himself. Well, that's all for today, and if you enjoyed the video, then like and subscribe for more Invincible breakdowns like this one.